air quality that the national capital is grappling with. There is no respite for the Delhiwalas as Delhi continues to be shrouded by a thick blanket of smog. As even winter approaches a week after Delhi, the condition remains worrying. Today morning itself, the air quality has been recorded in the very poor category at the average air quality index of 358 from various hotspots in the national capital. This is not a new phenomenon. We have seen this taking place last year as well, and the year before that, and also the year before that as well. Over the last few weeks, the AQI levels have been primarily attributed to stubble burning in the neighboring states, Diwali fireworks and low wind speed. As the rising AQI levels in the national capital makes life quite difficult for its residents and also the travellers in the national capital, data from the Centre for Science and Environment has highlighted that local air pollution sources are to blame for. These include vehicles that are estimated to have contributed more than half of the daily pollution. The data points out that residential burning, industrial activity and construction. Also, the CSE has analyzed that come at the onset of the winter and just before the anticipated peaking of the episodic air pollution. This analysis focuses on PM 2.5 concentration trends from September 15 to 28 of October and also compares this time frame with the corresponding time zone during the past years. This analysis now highlights and has been done based on the publicly available granular real-time data from the CPCB's official online portal, the Central Control Pollution Room for the Air Quality Management. The data has been captured from 37 official stations under the continuous ambient air quality monitoring system spread across the national capital. Dynamic estimation of real-time data on the source contribution by the Decision Support System, that is the DSS, for the air quality management of the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology has also been done. Farm fire counts from the Indian Agricultural Research Institute and contributions from the stubble fires to Delhi's air quality have also been examined. Now, with all that data and information, we put some light on how exactly the CSE reports highlights the contents of the matter. And to speak more on this, I have my guest, Zarin Osho, the director of the IGST India program. Thank you, Zarin, for speaking to NewsX and giving us your time at this point. What exactly is your analysis of the contents of the report? We have seen how, in fact, the report has the contents on the extensive data that it has captured and compared it with the last year's studies as well. But when it says and makes a comparison and studies, like it is in fact not the farm fires that are also contributing at this point of time.
Thank you, Simran, for having me, and I'm really pleased to be here. The report that CSE has put out is something that we always anticipated. It's good to have data back it. We have an air pollution issue throughout the year. It just gets more significant attention towards the winter months in any given year because of the farm fires. Now with this report, that data backs that vehicular pollution is perhaps the largest chunk of air pollution sources in Delhi. The question arises, why is it that smallholder farmers in Punjab and Haryana are going to be targeted by doubling of fines? This is news that came out a couple of days ago. This puts light and question on the data that the government has, that it relies on for developing policies or developing fines in the first place. And let me remind all of us that Delhi is perhaps one of the most leading states in the country that has done policies and has put out efforts to reduce vehicular pollution. So we have had the fastest rates of change to CNG. We have banned vehicles, diesel vehicles. We're considering congestion bans, congestion taxes. All of our public transport has moved electric. We have the highest number of electric buses in the country. Despite this, why is it that vehicular pollution is the largest contributing factor to Delhi's air quality is a question that needs to be asked to the government, and then also at some point question the data that they rely on, because that must correspond to some level of data that they must have collected and observation. So then the question begs, if all of these policies are policies that are only meant for the people living in Delhi, the residents of Delhi, we are unfairly burdened. That also questions what is it with porous borders. We have vehicular traffic in the city, of course. We have huge volumes that our roads and infrastructure are dealing with on a daily basis. But we also have commercial freight, millions of trucks, and transport is carried through the Delhi state during the night hours between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. There is no definition of what is allowed there. We have porous borders with all neighboring states. Civilian population comes in and out using cars that are, cars owned by residents elsewhere. We have huge chunks of people coming in from Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab on a daily basis. So how is it that we have tackled that? Moving on, let's talk about the PUC, which is the Pollution Under Control certificates. You and I both know that if we pay 100 rupees, maybe I'm sure the prices have gone up now, 200 rupees, we can get a PUC certificate. Has anybody looked at the calibration of the instruments? When was the last time that the instruments were calibrated? Who's enforcing this? This is the job of the CPCB, but we have no data necessarily on what it is that was done in terms of enforcing calibrations of instruments. You spoke about locations, that is 37 locations of air quality monitoring stations. Air quality monitoring stations are determined by population. That is what the CPCB methodology states. Our last population census was conducted in 2011. So is there an assumption that the population growth has been stagnant? Clearly not. So how have we enforced the changes of locations? Have we added more, locations for monitoring emissions? How good or bad are those instruments? There is no detail of it. What are the validation studies? We don't know. There is a lot of basic fundamental data that goes into policy making. My challenge for the government is, if you do not have these basics sorted, including locations and upgrading them based on population measures. Why is population the only measure? Can we not have congestion as one of the measures? The greatest hotspots in Delhi are west and south. What are we doing about congestion taxes? There was a discussion about congestion taxes. What has the government done in order to explain to the citizenry, to the residents of Delhi, that yes, it is going to be a burden, but here is why we have to do this.
Zarin,
There is
one
very little
important
communication.
point which I want to put into highlight right now is that, are we all very distracted with the fact that we are implementing the measures in a wrong direction, given the fact that there has been a slowdown in farm fires, and the problem which Delhi in fact every year faces is not just of the winter, because the same has also been very categorically highlighted in the CSE report. Because if we keep the possible measures in place throughout the year for controlling the vehicular emissions and the emissions from the local sources, it is in fact not going to be reaching at this level. But the fact of the matter is that we only come to discuss and in fact only come to debate about these issues when there is an onset of winter. So the measures which we are very loudly and which the governments are very loudly boasting about, especially at this point of time, are they all being implemented by a sense of being destructive?
Absolutely. We are a country that works on the defense. We never act preemptively. We know year on year what the problem with pollution is going to be. We do very little. So to give you an example, we have the GRAP plans that come into force depending on the worsening of air quality in the state. We were in GRAP 1, then we progressed to GRAP 2, now we're looking at GRAP 3. The problem is, can you only solve for symptoms of the disease? Why are you not looking at the underlying problem or the underlying illness of what is wrong with Delhi's air pollution? There is a huge discussion on, we are going to ban construction and demolition. We are going to ban industries from working. There is no integrated planning of how do you move on from where you are today to 20 years on, of how do you slowly transition your industry away from, you were using coal, you shut down coal power plants, you are using gas now. Gas is a fossil fuel. It's an intermediary step. What has the government done in order to start understanding how do you transition your industry away to clean fuels, period? You cannot say, 6 months, no industry is going to work, because that has economic consequences. Our labor suffers. Similarly, when you look at the industry, Delhi might shut down its industry. The wind blows from the northwest direction into Delhi. Can you shut the industries in Sonipat, Panipat, which are textile hubs, industrial hubs? I am from Chandigarh. I do frequently visit that highway between Chandigarh and Delhi. It is horrible. So how do you stop the air from blowing? So the solution to this is the approach of an airshed. What is an airshed? Airshed is essentially a geographical area that has similar weather patterns. So instead of using state lines, you use geographical and weather as a parameter to define a common area. And then you work on policies to solve for airshed rather than transport boundaries. That is a simple solution. And that is the way to go about it, because ultimately, let's say you also want to move away in the airshed to, cleaner fuels. It is a capital cost for your industry. So how is it that you can develop projects, you can develop finances, you can develop incentives accordingly? So we are currently in the process of developing the 16th Finance Commission. The 15th Finance Commission had roughly approximately 2.8 billion US dollars as corpus money. We work with subnational governments and we ask several governments, how is it that you have not accessed that corpus of money, that pool of money? And the answer that we got was, we are not aware of how to produce these projects. How do you sort of determine these projects? And the corpus in the 15th Finance Commission is target-based incentives, meaning that you have to demonstrate that your project has improved air quality and so on and so forth for you to be able to access those incentives.
Okay.
We are proposing strongly that the 16th Finance Commission also look at air quality as an incentive.
But, Zarin, the bone of the contention is that, at this point, we talk a lot about how the local sources are also behind the increase of the PM 2.5. There are pollutants which have increased. We have air purifiers at every corner now in our urban spaces. Do you suggest, or is there a particular suggestion hooked over the fact that any kind of policy or a measure that needs to be put in place with the problem at such a large scale, like place in Delhi, or for that matter Mumbai also faces right now, for a year-long process, and not just for a 4th month, assumably a course which we look at it, because the governments think of it as more of a direction and a political point when we talk about the problem getting far from worse. But it is in fact more in that direction, that it has to be implemented throughout the year or in a process which is more sustainable, to have that approach also yield some results in a longer run.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on its head, Simran. That's exactly what we need. It cannot be, the problem has knocked on our door and now we'll figure out what to do with the problem and now we'll identify what the problem is. Absolutely not. This is a year-round issue. We have serious health concerns. The rates of cancer in India are growing, skyrocketing. It's homicide. And there needs to be very serious action and very serious thought given to the approach that we have undertaken. There needs to be a very solid task force that needs to be set up with all the agencies that work together, IITM, IMD, CPCB, SPCBs, PAQMs, together to figure out what are the standard operating procedures. Can we first figure out how are we collecting data? How are we observing data? And while you do that simultaneously, you start putting in short-term measures already. So you start looking at how to develop financial incentives. How do you strengthen enforcement? To give you an example, this year on Diwali, we had a firecracker ban across the state. Despite it went up in flames. That ban went up in flames. I live in the southern part of Delhi, of the state. And here is much less population density. Enforcement was zero. Everybody burst firecrackers from dusk to dawn. There was nobody who came to enforce it, despite the Delhi government stating that there were 377 enforcement teams that were established under GRAP. Where were the teams? What happened? The second problem is misinformation and disinformation. How is it that we are starting to market and promote green firecrackers? What is a green firecracker? If you burst a firecracker, the sheer composition of a firecracker means that you're going to have emissions of sorts. And it is going to be PM 2.5. And if you look at the numbers, the pollution numbers, they significantly jump with the firecracker bursting, and now we're entering the wedding season. We are Punjabis, North Indians enjoy life full size, but that also does not mean that we are forcing, half of North India's population into cancerous diseases.
Okay.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.